What's up, guys? Nick G here. I'm gonna do a video on two symbols today: the pentacle, or the upright pentagram, and the pentagram, the inverted pentagram, where, the classic symbol for Church of Satan, a classic symbol that's used along with the satanic ideology. I'm sure you can imagine what I'm saying, and I'm gonna put images in the video. Alright, let's just dive into it. Alright, on the pentacle, or the upright pentagram, and this is gonna, and again, don't be so dissuaded, like, oh, symbols, they mean nothing. Don't be too left-brained. Again, it's metaphors. I'm gonna do my best to break this down in a very real-world way, so that anyone can understand it, because this is real. This is happening. This is measurable. This is tangible. This is viewable in your everyday life, and internally it is. Alright. Top point. That would be the spirit. I should have left this one for last, but it doesn't matter. The top point of the star is the spirit. It reigns over everything else, above the physical reality. And if you go to the right point, the top right point, that would be water, or that's also symbolic of emotion, feelings, emotion, which has been largely sucked out of people due to drugs. There's mass apathy problems going on right now due to not just drugs, but that's something that I've used drugs before to do, or used drugs with that intent of shutting off that part of me. And let me tell you right now, some of the biggest trouble I've ever gotten myself into, and some of the biggest trouble I've ever seen other people get into, is when they play a numbing out of emotions game. And drugs are a classic, exaggeration, like a very transparent example of this. I'm not saying it's the only thing that people, television, cultural narratives, the news, all this stuff, it's meant to suck your emotions right out of you. And it's made to make you, and it's made out to be like a sign of weakness or something like that. But again, some of the biggest trouble I've ever gotten myself into, I was ignoring those emotions, I was ignoring those feelings. They're trying to tell you something. If you're feeling guilty, if you're feeling like you're doing something wrong, they're trying to guide you somewhere. They're trying to tell you something. They're trying to tell you to change your behavior. Okay, alright, let's move to the next point. Bottom right, that would be fire, which is also symbolic of action, physical action, what you're actually doing. That's something that you can never leave out. Action's not very good if you don't have the right thoughts and emotions in place, in alignment with that, because you're just going to be taking actions down the wrong road and screwing yourself over and everyone else around you that's connected to you, which everything's connected to you over. But sometimes in religion and in New Age movement and things like that, they want to leave out action. They want to act like, I can just think this, or I can just feel this and sit there with my legs crossed, meditate, smoke a bowl of weed, and I don't actually ever have to do anything. When push comes to shove, I don't actually ever have to do anything. And that's a complete lie. It's a complete it's a joke. It's a lie. Like, you need to actually do something if you want to see a change in yourself and in reality and the way things are. Which, if you're paying attention at all, you should want to see some type of change, because we're getting pretty close to hell on earth. It's already here in many ways. I'm not trying to be doom and gloom pessimistic, but again, start to learn about the mass deception that's taking place, and you're going to feel the responsibility to take action. You absolutely will. And again, pair that up with emotion, you're going to feel a sense of responsibility. Choose to ignore that at your own peril, at your own detriment. Okay. Bottom left, Earth, which is just symbolic of the actual physical body, your actual body. Not much to be said about that. I mean, again, you could go into the conspiracy realm of it, which isn't even... Conspiracy to me doesn't mean like something ridiculous to be ridiculed. It just means it's a plot against you. People are planning something against you. And that's absolutely what this is. And if you want to take a plot against someone's physical reality, someone's physical body, you can point to the estrogen mimickers in the food, which has been mainstream headline news. Mainstream. You don't even got to get into the conspiracy realm for that one. The GMOs, the fluoride in the water, all this stuff that we were never meant to eat. That's one area I'm absolutely lacking in, and I need to get better on. And I guarantee, if I started taking better care of my physical body, all my other areas, all other points of the star, let's say, would improve in synchronization with that. Again, this isn't like you have to work on all these things. It's not just, you can pick one. Some people are better in some areas than others. Some people need more work in areas than others. But ultimately, everyone has all of these components to them, and they all have to be in alignment with the spirit, with the top point, with the truth, with God, with something higher, with the highest ideal, whatever you want to call it. I'm trying to break this down in a way that even the most left-brain egghead, some guy that doesn't want to move into a metaphysical space at all could understand. Alright, top left, air, intellect, thought. That's what that is. What you think about. And again, this is just like the food consumption. You take in good food, you're going to get quality nutrition, quality substance for your body. You're going to live longer too. It's the same thing with information and thought. Like, you take in quality information, you change the quality of your attention from social media, television garbage, and sometimes outright purposeful deception, lies, to deceive you and hijack your perception of reality. On paper, they say that. They say that. They say they want to control the way the public perceives the public perception. They want to tell the world how to see reality, and of course they're going to download a perception into a perception of reality that best suits them and their best interests to maintain their control. If that doesn't make sense to you, I don't know how else to say it. Why, if you were in power, why wouldn't you want to keep those beneath you? So, start watching something of quality, start filtering out the nonsense, and your thoughts should clear up. That's another thing. I hate to always bring it to a drug place, because I'm not really, like super anti-drug. It's just that's... To a degree I am, and to a degree that's part of my own personal experience and my own personal struggles that I have to deal with. So it's not, me trying to control people, but something I've noticed too. If you're not stoned all the time, if you're not drunk all the time, if you're not fucked up all the time, you're a lot smarter. You can think a lot more clearly. You can decode things better. Alright, back to the top point. That's the spirit. That's the truth. That's the God. That's the highest ideal. And it reigns above all of these. And if you perfect these other points, the closer to that you can be, and the more obvious the existence of that plane, it becomes more obvious. And essentially what this is, let me try to say it like this. It's the ability to understand cause and effect, pattern recognition on a microcosmic level, like internally, and on an external level, like it's like I'm thinking this way, I'm feeling this way, and I'm acting this way. So these things happen. It's understanding how these things work together and identifying the pattern. And it's almost like you're identifying with that pattern and not even the actual manifestation of it. That's a problem that people run into when you're telling them the truth. They're so identified with this lie or with this part of themselves, and they think it's them. You want to actually identify with the Spirit, with the God, with the ideal, with the truth. That should always be your compass. That should always be your guide, and it should always reign above the others. I don't know if that makes sense. But, again, if you start to pay attention to cultures throughout the passage of time, religions, television, just all these things, you're going to start to notice patterns taking place. There's an intrinsic truth built into humanity, and it's there, and it's real, and it's present, and it's absolutely governing what's taking place on this earth. And you can choose, again, to ignore it at your own peril, and you will be destroyed. And again, I'm not saying you're going to destroy yourself through your own actions. I'm not saying you're going to be sent to a physical, real hell when you die, and the devil's going to be poking you with a pitchfork, and God's going to smite you. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you're going to destroy yourself through your own actions if you ignore this. And I've absolutely been doing that to myself for most of my life. And most people I know are still doing it to themselves to an even worse degree. Okay, well, obviously, what does that mean if the top point's spirit and the pentagram, the inverted pentagram, is inverted? Obviously, it's flipped, meaning the top point is now down low. It's under. It buries the spirit. It buries it. It wants to destroy the spirit. It wants to make it so the physical reality is the only reality. And again, this is just a power game. Obviously, these people that are, the dark occult, the Satanists, the Mason, whatever name, the Illuminati, whatever you want to slap on, the name you want to slap on it. It is important to make a distinction, but the hidden hand, whatever floats your boat, all right? It is important to make a distinction because this is an ideology, and no one group is responsible for all the evil in the world. This is an ideology that is present in every race, religion, group, institution that exists. It's present in you, in every person. Some people embrace it, some people live it and don't even know it, some people, realize what's going on and try to get away from it. But again, of course, they want to do that. They want to eliminate the slave's ability to understand how reality manifests. They want to eliminate the slave's ability for self-empowerment. They want to eliminate the slave's ability of pattern recognition. That's the main difference between the dark occult and the light occult. That's the main difference between Satan and God. It's burying knowledge to create a power differential on purpose. And they've been highly successful in this endeavor. Almost damn near completion from what I can see from my interactions with people, from even, taking a look back at myself a few years ago. It's like, oh my God, it's overwhelming. It's absolutely overwhelming. Of course, so yes, this is about the physical world, selfishness, taking absolute precedence. It becomes the highest priority above everything else. Above everything else, there is no spirit. You're not connected to anything. Doesn't matter. Make up what everything's relative. There is no right or wrong, which is one of the biggest lies that I've ever been told, that I've ever accepted at one point in my life. That I've ever seen people, and they won't outright say that. They won't outright say that that's what they believe, but then you take a look at their thoughts, emotions, and actions, and what they do to their physical body, and you can tell that's what they believe. There is no spirit. The spirit has been sucked out from most of humanity. Anytime, again, what this propagates is anytime there's an opportunity for indulgence, take it. No matter what. No matter what harm it might do to others, yourself, which it will. You know how stupid of advice that is. Anytime there's an opportunity for indulgence, take it. That type of mindset I've been in for much of my life. And you know how much trouble and shit I got into. What husk of a being I was. What absolute walking lie I was. Due to that. You're going to destroy yourself. And again, that's what this is all about. Does man answer to something? This is all the God and devil thing, man. Satanism ultimately is man is God. He gets to make everything up. He gets to make up what is right and wrong. There is no right and wrong. I mean, besides for what he personally decides at the moment. And he never has to answer to anything besides his own desires. That is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard and ever seen people take on and accept in their mind and hearts. And it's going to lead us to slavery. And it's going to lead us to self-destruction. 100%, no question. Like, this is like science. This is real. This is going to happen. This is cause and effect. I'm not an expert in this. I'm doing my best to explain it. There are, excuse me, there are people who are better than me at this. But I'm doing my best here. Again, and this is also another way of looking at this is it's about destroying the imagination. It's about destroying the highest ideal, the transcendent. It's destroying the idea in someone's mind that something could be different than the way it is. Are you kidding me? Like, if that's not taking place, I don't... Again, I'll use a drug addiction metaphor, template, allegory, whatever you want to call it. In my darkest days of drug addiction, after years and years and years of abuse, and it's become part of me, it's become part of my identity, so I believed. It's become who I was. It seemed like something there was no escape from. And that's because the imagination was destroyed. And again, this is mind control. This is the definition of mind control almost. Destroy the imagination. Destroy the highest ideal. Destroy the transcendent. Destroy the goal. Destroy God. That's what they want to do. That's what they are doing. That's what they've already done to a large degree on most of humanity. On most of humanity. I'm not trying to be too angry here, but, I'm kind of getting frustrated. I'm not playing games with this anymore. It's really not a game. It's really not a joke. Like, this is absolutely not a joke. And if you care about yourself and you care about other people, you better start looking into the truth. And that doesn't just mean, oh, come to me. It just means start looking internally. Start checking out other information. Stop watching trash and start watching quality. And again, you're going to have to watch a variety of things, and you're going to start to see these patterns taking place. I guarantee it. If you're serious about this journey, you absolutely will. And your entire mind, your entire being will change. And it's going to be painful. It's going to be a painful process, but it's going to be worth it, I believe. Because, I'm still going through the throes of that, of letting things go that need to be let go and destroyed within myself. So again, it wants to destroy the imagination. People, not just what's possible for them, that they could be something else, that they could transcend whatever situation they're in, that there is a way out, that they could find and build a way out. But also in imagination in the dark sense of like, oh, there's no way 9/11 could have been an inside job. There's no way the media could be lying to us on that level. There's no way. There's no way they could be putting that in the food. There's no way they could be doing that to the sky and to the water. There's no way. People can't even imagine it. Truth is stranger than fiction. Reality is stranger than, a movie or a book. Like it really is. And again, people think none of this is possible because the spirit has been buried, the ideal has been buried, the imagination has been buried, God has been buried, the spirit has been buried. And again, the only solution I could suggest is start working on the other points, like I described earlier in the video. start to try to get in touch with your emotions again and stop doing things that might be, consuming things and watching things and all this that might be blocking those things out. Act differently. Again, take care of your physical body. Consume. That's probably my weakest point, and that's probably the thing that's keeping me. That in action, my thoughts and my emotions have improved greatly, but my physical body could absolutely take. I've improved a little bit there, definitely, since drug addiction days, but there's still room for improvement. And I could always be acting more. I could always be doing more. I'll admit that for sure. And if I can admit that, I think many others could admit that. But if you really focus on these things and harness them and perfect them, spirit is going to become more and more obvious. The ideal is going to become more and more obvious. God's going to become more and more apparent. It's going to be more and more obvious. This is real, guys. This isn't a joke. And again, man, you know how many times I've scrolled down the internet and seen all these little children, absolute mind-controlled, brainwashed, borderline retarded children, walking around with pentagrams on their shirt, saying they love Satan, things like that, and they don't even know what that is. They have no idea. Not a clue. And I know half the time people do it just to piss off the religious folk, whatever. Again, those people are nothings anyways. They think everything's a joke. They think everything's a game. Nothing serious. Let them go be in their bullshit land and bullshit forever and be a clown forever. That's fine. Go do that. I don't care. But those... Again, I'll put it like this, and I heard this one time before, and it's so true. The needs of the slave master are going to be reflected in the beliefs of the slave. So this is a trickle-down effect. You see little lemmings, little mind-controlled golems, husks of their former selves, of their true selves, walking around, speaking lies, thinking lies, feeling lies, acting lies. Everything is a lie. Saying they love Satan. Of course, again, me saying that's crazy and I disagree with that doesn't mean it doesn't make logical, chronological, absolute sense if you know the patterns, if you understand what's taking place, if you know the truth. It makes 100% sense. There's an agenda that's being pushed out, and they're being programmed, and they've taken it on. And again, of course, they want... And I would respect them more. I respect the dark occult, the Illuminati, the Satanists a little bit more because they actually are smart. They actually do they actually have an intent, and they put their will behind it. In that sense, they understand how reality works, and they're getting shit done. And I respect that to a tiny degree. Not what they're doing at all, because the psychopath it's going to destroy everything. It's going to ruin everything, and it has been. But I would respect those little know-nothings running around a little bit more if they even knew, but they don't. They're just... Again, man, you go up to someone and talk about God, talk about truth, talk about an objective truth, talk about an ideal, talk about a goal, talk about, maybe, hey man, maybe that's a lie, maybe, try to bring some light into someone, and they're gonna run away from you. They're gonna get away from you. They're gonna get mad at you. They're gonna get, furious with you. Whatever. They're gonna disregard you. They're gonna ridicule and mock you. Again, man, it makes 100% sense that people are walking around like that. And my point was, you bring up the God or the truth to people, and you'll be met with, scrunched face, scoff, eye rolling, ridicule. But you walk around, I love Satan. You'll get a bunch of likes, a bunch of applause. Like it's become a little faggy trend. It's become a little douchey, like cutesy little trend of know-nothings that don't know what they're talking about, and they don't know what they're endorsing. And again, they're going to destroy themselves. So it's not something that I really need to consistently address, because go ahead, live like that. Go ahead, keep ignoring. Go ahead, keep ignoring your responsibility. Go ahead, keep ignoring the ideal, the goal, the God, whatever. Go ahead, keep watching the lies, taking in the lies. Go ahead. You're going to pay the price. You're not going to get away. You're not going to escape. Your only hope is get alignment with that top point. Get as close to that top point as you possibly can. Raise that up as high as you possibly can. And of course, again, pentagram, inverted pentagram, wants to bury that, wants to eliminate it, wants to destroy it. And this is the belief system of the dark occult, of the Illuminati, of the Satanists. They think they are God. They think they get to choose what is right and wrong, who lives and who dies. Eugenics is just a logic. Again, if you understand the spirit, if you understand how things progress, how things manifest, eugenics is a logical endpoint, an extreme conclusion to that ideology. They literally think that they get to choose who lives and who dies. And guess what, little cutesy guys running around endorsing Satan? You're on their list to die. You're not in the group. You're not in the club. Get wise soon. Wake the fuck up. Excuse my language, but seriously, I have no patience for that anymore. I'm done. I've had to withdraw so much. Man, again, you talk. It just shows. I use that example of you mention God to people, and you're met with all those negative initial responses. But if they really heard you out and they really started changing, they'd be like, "Oh wow, you were right, man. Thank you for saying and doing those things for me. Thank you for being there." Like they would praise you later on, but initially it's painful. Initially it sounds crazy. So it's wrote off. It's put by the wayside. This is important stuff, guys, because these people that are running the world, they look at you as pawns. They look at you as slaves. They look at you as garbage, as human vermin to be used up and destroyed and discarded. And if you think more of yourself, that's another problem that I've already touched on in another video. Another reason people ignore this thing, if you want to come at it from an empathetic perspective, which is hard sometimes because people really, they're doing it to themselves and nobody likes to hear that, but they really are. We're doing it to ourselves. And that's why it's like, who's right here? But, again, we're doing it to ourselves. We're doing it to ourselves. Which means if you take responsibility, you take your power back. It means you take charge of who you are. You take that power back that you forgot about so long ago, that so many people forgot about so long ago, and caved into the cultural narrative, into the cultural social engineering, into the mind control, into the peer pressure, into the nonsense, into the irresponsibility. These people want you dead. They really do. Take a look at their false flag agendas, their how much they lie on a regular basis. 90% of the stuff that's said on mainstream television is either not important or a lie. I pulled that percentage out of my ass, I'll admit that, but it's really not a joke. The fact that these guys have any credibility left, and they are losing some, which I'm happy about, but put them all in the basket. This isn't just CNN, the liberal media, it's Fox too, it's all of them. Wake up. Get out of that paradigm. Wake up. You're delusional if you think any of these people... The fact that they have any credibility left at all is absolutely astonishing to me after they could lie us into several wars. Take your money at the same time to pay for it. Have other people pay with their lives. It's insane that people still take this in. And again, that's corrupting it's corrupting people on so many levels. So, again, alright, I gotta end this video. I got off track as usual. Work on all those points in the ways that I previously stated. And try to visualize and conceptualize the highest ideal. Try to imagine that something could be different than the way it is. Try to imagine that maybe the conspiracy theorists might be right. about some things sometimes, which they are. Many of the stuff too, dude, you don't even have to go into speculation or theory. They write it in books. They write it on papers. They write it decades in advance before doing it. These people plan things out. They understand. Like, they know how the psyche works of people, of individuals, and especially of mobs and groups of peoples and collectives. It's actually a lot easier to manipulate a collective than it is an individual. I'm not saying collectives are bad, but again, this is the difference between the dark and the light, New World Order, or the occult, or Satan and God. You know, they want to bring they want to sit upon the Iron Throne. They want to collectivize the world in their image, under their control, under their boot, and that's not the world I want to see, and that's not what's even gonna work. It's not even gonna work. And this is something I've had to accept too. There's been times where I don't like something about someone, I really care about them, and I want to help, but then I feel like I gotta control them. I feel like I gotta demand it. And guess what happens every time I do that? It gets worse. They do the opposite of what I'm trying to get out of them. And it collapses into chaos. And that's what their New World Order delusion is going to do, if they get it into place, which they already largely have done. The only other option is recognition of the truth, of the highest deal, of what's right and wrong, and alignment of all the other points, thoughts, emotions, body, actions with it. Out of your own free will choice, deliberately choose. That's the only way. Become responsible through your own free will choice. The only thing you answer to is that truth. No man, no fear, no peer pressure, no collective, no cultural narrative, no bullshit. The truth is the only thing you answer to, and you have and God is the only thing you answer to. The absolute faith in that path, it's the only thing that's going to set you free. Truly free. And I just want to be free. I don't know about you guys. I want to be free from all that. You know, you see the Matrix, when Neo first wakes up, he's horrified, man. He's horrified of what he was absolutely submerged in, immersed in for so long that he couldn't even realize what was actually reality instead of what it was. Again, he wouldn't have been able to do that without again, people's imaginations and their spirits have been absolutely destroyed. Everything's been destroyed. They're not even just taking out the spirit. They're hitting you on the emotion level. Everything's apathetic. They're hitting you on the action level. Everything's lazy, mediocre. Everything's and then the religious people want to come at you with I don't even want to say religious, but the super right brain people want to come at you with the idea that I can just, once again, think. Thoughts are a huge key component to this, but let me tell you, you can't just think your reality into a better situation. You got to actually do something. And that's something that I don't always do. I'll admit that. But they're hitting you on every level. And since they're hitting you on every level, God, the spirit, the ideal, everything is completely invisible. It's invisible. They can't see it. The imagination's gone. It's not, what are you talking about? That's why I sound crazy to people. That's why when I get worked up, that's why when I use emotion, people are like, oh man, why are you freaking out? This guy's over the top. I'm not even over the top. I'm normal. People are living in a collective state of insanity. And then, again, this is about being this is about being in the world, but not of it, in terms of your perception. You can understand there's something higher. You try to promote something higher always, no matter the consequences of how things might initially unfold and how they might initially look to you. You stay with it, and you know, and it's not even about to me I'm at the point where I can't even go back because I know better. I know now I can't just turn that off. The only way I could do that, and it wouldn't even work 100% like it used to, is fall back into heavy drug addiction. And there's no chance of me doing that. And it wouldn't even work. And it wouldn't even solve anything. Just be chasing, again, caught in this endless cycle of insanity. People are like, oh, why is there so much self-inflicted? They won't even recognize it as self-inflicted suffering because it's always someone else's fault and they never have any control or power of their own destiny, right? So they won't even recognize it as that. But why is there so much suffering? Well, why is so much going on? Why aren't things working out for me? Because the spirit has been destroyed. Your ability to understand how these things connect and how you're connected to others matters, and how reality manifests has been destroyed. It's been buried by design, by conspiracy, by plot, by plan, by it's been orchestrated. There's no question. Go look into these things. These people have set up a perfect system. Not a perfect system, but perfect in respect to controlling people's perception of reality and to putting them under their mind control and making them see the world and themselves the way they want them to. They put a perfect system in place. I mean, and they're getting better at it. And by better, I don't mean actually better. I just mean in regards to that purpose of mind control and enslavement. Yeah, they're getting better at it. And we got to wake up soon. And we got to change soon. Stop saying later. Stop saying tomorrow. Do the things that you know you should do. Turn off the garbage. And, if people have a problem with that, then, maybe you should let them go. That's what, fear of feeling lonely or, not being part of the group, speaking from personal experience, is not the only reason, but one of the major reasons that people completely abandon all of this. And I actually find myself saying this sometimes. I'll admit this right now to you guys. I find myself saying, why do I have to be responsible? Why do I have to do right? Why do I have to propagate the truth and what is right to others? Why do I have to live that? Why do I have to know that? Why do I have to feel that? Why do I have to act that out? Because look at everyone else, or look at the bulk of humanity. Look at the majority of people. And that's not me being cynical or douchey. It really is factually, statistically, numbers-wise, in the aggregate, the majority of people have been destroyed. Otherwise, reality could not manifest the way it is. Things are, in the end, all things in the end become an expression of the dominant consciousness. Social media, television, all of it, whatever. It speaks more about who we are and what we value than it does the actual technology or than anything else. It's about you. It's a reflection of you. Everything's connected. Start to recognize the pattern. It's the only thing it's the only way you're going to be free. It's the only way. And if you're comfortable being a slave and destroying yourself in the end, and if you don't care about anyone else, which through people's actions they seem to believe that, because you are connected to people, whether you realize it or not, the people you surround yourself with, the people, you have an influence on people. And that's a neutral statement. You have an influence on people. What you choose to do with that, good or bad, right or wrong, is up to you. It's your responsibility and your free will choice. It's your choice. Alright, I hope I got sort of off track, but not really. Thank you guys for listening. This video ran on 39 minutes, so I gotta end it here. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for the support. Let me know what you think. Again, you guys, I'm not claiming I know everything here. Try to take what value you can from this, and take the value that you can, and drop drop the parts that you think that I might be diluting with my own resentment or my own anger or my own whatever. But don't drop the issues because it might make you initially feel like, bad, Try to identify the truth, take those things, carry it with you. I'm not saying I got it all figured out, but, anyways, thank you guys for the support. Stay tuned for more. Alright guys, before I wrap up this video, just wanted to give one more, or try to put in a clip that gives a good example of what I've been trying to say. Like a real world example, and this is gonna obviously be about addiction. And it's a clip I took from a BBC special that Russell Brand did, and you know, think what you want about him. He might be a little more left, like politically left-minded than I might be, but he still has a lot of information. You know, a lot of, again, there's within this whole conspiracy truther movement, there's accusations at every single person for being a phony and a fraud. You really just got to go figure that out for yourself and hold people up to the truth and see how they stack up with it. And, you know, again, if this isn't even about that. So, you know, I would actually recommend checking him out. He has a lot of valuable information. But here you go. I'm going to show you this clip real quick.
I think that just shows the direct relationship between taking drugs and not feeling emotions, and not taking drugs and feeling emotions, and therefore the obligation.
And that is why people take drugs. Yeah.
That I can imagine you really clearly off drugs. I can really see you. I can see you competent.
See, right there, when he says, I can clearly imagine you off drugs, this is what I'm talking about, the destruction of the imagination. This isn't even conspiratorial, where I'm saying it's an agenda to destroy the spirit and the imagination and the creative essence of humanity. This is more of like a drug. The drug is the government. The drug is the mind control. It's sitting at that top of it. You know, it's sitting in the position of, yeah, how media and other things might be controlling someone's mind. But my point is, he says, I can clearly imagine you off drugs. I can really see it. And she makes this face like, what are you talking about? Like she can't even see it. She doesn't believe it's possible. And that's what I'm talking about. If you're sitting in a situation and you say, I'll never get out of this, then you won't get out of it. If you can't even see it, you have to, first step, you have to start to believe that it's possible. I mean, obviously you have to take action in relationship with that. That's why I went through all the points on the star. It's not just one or the other, it's all of them. You still have to take action. Like Jim Carrey said in an interview, you can't just visualize, you know, visualize the goal and go eat a sandwich or whatever. But visualizing is important. To start to do that, start to conceptualize the highest ideal to aim for, not just for yourself, but for yourself and for your relationships with your friends and family, for the country, possibly for the world, even if you can. Try to piece that together and live in accordance with that. It's the only way. And take responsibility. It's the only way. I don't know if this is... It's not really relevant to the video, but I think this girl here is has a heroin addiction in particular. And I actually do think at the end it says she ended up relapsing, which is sad. But you know, and again, it doesn't really matter what drug it is. Addiction's addiction. It's similar behavior, same impulse, same internal conflict that leads to this shutdown mode. But that's what I wanted to show you. That's literally like what I'm saying to you playing out in real time. She can't believe it. She can't even see it. She doesn't think she could be that. She doesn't think she could be any other way than what she is. She doesn't think her life could be any other way than what it is. The drug has absolutely has her mind in a stranglehold. We can watch the rest of this though. I'm sorry.
Driving, freestone heavier, living, competent, really clearly off drugs. I can really see you. I can see you competent, driving, freestone heavier, living a life, sorted out, looking different. You know what I mean? I can really, really imagine it for you. That's the thing. That's the thing, more obviously than I ever have with anybody. But like, do you think you deserve to be clean? Do you think you deserve to be happy? I suppose is what I'm asking. I don't think you do think that you deserve it. I don't think anyone does who takes drugs, you know, addictively.
That's the thing, man. You gotta understand. Like David Icke puts it this way: it's infinite possibility. It's anything is possible. It really is, and that means the best and the worst. Like living your life in a heroin blur, destroying your relationships with everyone, being so dependent on an external source just to feel all right. You're a slave. You're a slave. That's hell right there. That's hell. But Russell Brand here, his listing, like, I can see you, you know, like, sorted out, acting right, all these things. He can see it. And himself personally has gotten off drugs. And I really respect that about him and this work that he does. But, yeah, man, you have to be able to even believe that it's possible. And it is possible. And it is also possible for you to destroy yourself and anyone that's connected to you, anyone that really cares about you, and you're living like that, you're destroying them. I hope you know that. And I don't say that to be a dick. I'm just saying that to be truthful. Anyone that really cares about you, then yeah. I mean, if you sit around smoking dope in front of your friends and they don't say anything to you, I hate to break the news to you right now, but they don't care about you. Or, I don't know, man. Ultimately, that's kind of the case, but it's a tricky situation because people are lost too. You know, people are under their own mind control, and they're giving into their own fear. That's another thing that stops people. That's a large one actually, and that fear will lead to them, you know, living in regret or destroying themselves. All right, there's one other thing I wanted to play, I think, here at the end, so I'm going to let it run.
There's loads of people that are going to die if they don't stop taking drugs and drinking. That sense that I had with Amy, the sense of inevitability of it. So, like, when I sort of think of someone like Karen, who's also a really, really smart woman who's going to die if she doesn't stop taking drugs. That's how I see it.
And that's exactly it. She's in this. You can take this outside of the context of drug abuse. I hope you guys have picked that up by now, so I don't just sound like an insane person. But yeah, if she doesn't stop doing this, she's going to die. He's right. If we don't fix our behavior, like individually and collectively, we're all gonna die. Like, that's what happens. I think there is laws in place on this earth that aren't man's law, that weren't written down on a piece of paper. If you understand what I'm saying, it's kind of like if you play with fire, you're going to get burned. Or if you believe in yourself and believe in the ideal and believe in its possibility and act in accordance with that, and you keep trying, you're gonna win. That would be the flip side of insanity. What's the classic definition of insanity? You keep doing the same thing expecting different results. If you act a certain way in this world, you're going to attract certain things to yourself, and you're going to create certain things around yourself. Humans build their own environment, and many people can't even see outside the environment they've been placed into. That's another thing where the spirit comes in. They've been birthed into an illusion. If you take that word apart, matrix, M-A, tricks, womb, tricks, and illusion, the etymology that you've been birthed into an illusion, and the spirit's the only thing that's going to get you to see outside of that. That's why they say be in the world but not of this world, in terms of your perceptions of reality. You know, you gotta still be grounded. You know, you still have to, like, take care of your physical body. You still have to, like, live on this earth and go day to day. You can't be super spiritual that you're so detached from action. But, yeah, I don't know, guys. I hope that was useful. I hope it makes sense. This isn't even just about drug abuse. Although, I mean, at this point, I think it's pretty clear. I do sort of preach against that, especially ones like heroin. That's not a joke. It's a death sentence, honestly. I've always been curious, man. And maybe you guys can help me out with this question. What is it about, statistically, like 1 in 5 people quit heroin? I believe that's the case. And I think I've said this in another video, but what is it about that one person? What is different about them? What's the case? What happened? What's different about them that makes them able to stop? That makes them able to change? I've really, really wondered that. And you know, I've had my own bouts with addiction in my life, and they're probably not over. But yeah, man, I don't know. Because I think anyone can do anything. I think anything is possible. Creating heaven on earth, and heaven for yourself and heaven for your friends and family is possible, and also creating hell. I mean, obviously, I think creating hell is a lot easier. I think there's more ways to get to hell than there is ways to get to heaven, or create it. And I'm not even talking about the afterlife. Like, I think you understand that now. But yeah, that's the whole point of this, man. People on the conspiracy side, there's people that they're in their best interest. It's in their best interest to keep you as dumb and in this slave mentality as possible. And the crazy part is, people sometimes seem to want freedom from freedom. They seem to want to be irresponsible. They seem to want the slavery. That's where it gets crazy. And you know, but my point is, there's people that have it's in their best interest to tell you what's possible for you, and what you can do here, and and who you are. And if you don't figure those things out for yourself, and you don't conceptualize and visualize and create those things for yourself, you're going to be handed it. You're going to be handed who you are. You're going to be handed your perception of reality. You're going to be handed what you believe is possible. This is not a joke. This is real. I don't think it's just conspiracy. I think a lot of this is internal human dynamics that have been with us since man has been here. Like like all the internal forces, and I think that's what gods were in mythology. They were metaphors and allegories and personifications of internal dynamics within people. But on the conspiracy side, there is no question, no doubt, no argument, no debate about a concerted effort to hijack public perception and mold it and shape it in the way that they desire. And if you think that that's in your best interest, if you think that the guys that want to hold dominion over you are gonna program you with a good outlook and a good imagination of what's possible for you and this and that, you're out of your mind. Because obviously they would want to keep you as apathetic, ignorant, and feeling powerless and feeling trapped and feeling fearful as possible. And they've been largely successful at that. Largely. They actually have it in documents. I'm not just making it up. They write it down on paper. We want to shape and shift and mold public perception. That's literally the way, they're talking about literally the way the public sees reality. They want to create that. That's insane. That should freak you out. They want to tell you how to see reality. That's so dangerous, it's not even funny. That's like actually deadly, like fatally dangerous for all of us. But yeah, I hope that makes sense, man. If you're in a really dark place, which all of this great nation is, all of humanity really is, if you're paying attention. But if you find yourself individually, personally in a dark place, it's possible to get out. Like it really is. If you understand that if you can eliminate self-inflicted suffering, if you can understand that when you act a certain way, you're creating certain conditions for yourself. And sometimes suffering is intrinsic into existence, and you can't get around that. But the only way to get around that and to beat that is from Jordan Peterson. I learned this. You have to take responsibility, and you have to bear it on your shoulders, and you have to face it, and you have to confront it, and you'll get stronger. And it's true. It's the only solution. There's no hiding. But you can reduce the amount of unnecessary self-inflicted suffering on this earth, which there's so many. And it's because we're living in a state of imbalance internally. And we don't... My point is, man, if you feel like you can't get out of something, you're setting yourself up for a trap. Anytime you feel like anytime you notice yourself saying to yourself or thinking to yourself, this is it for me, I can't get out of here, I'm probably gonna die here, which I've thought to myself so many times in my life in recent years. But if you find yourself doing that, immediately start changing that. You don't even have to take any action right now if you're that early on. Just start to change the way you think and start to change what you think is possible. Just be like, hey, maybe that is possible. Maybe I could do that if I, and then once you have that conceptualized ideal of what the God, the ultimate possibility that you want to get to, which you should spend a long time thinking about, because that's a very, very, very important question. The ultimate goal, the ultimate ideal. What is that for you and your family and your friends and the country and the world? What is that? What is that? What is heaven? You need to piece that together. But the beauty of that, and this is actually a beauty and not a downside, as soon as you have that, you have restraints now. You have requirements. This is like law. This is science. Like, oh, I pointed this out in another video. You want to be a professional athlete. I would say, that's not bad at all. But if you're going to, again, just spend a long time conceptualizing the ultimate heaven, the ultimate goal. That's not bad to be an athlete. But this, just as an example, there's requirements now. You have to exercise. You have to eat right. You have to, train every day. All this. You have to gain knowledge. It immediately places requirements and boundaries on you, which people hate, but it's actually a really good thing. It keeps you in check if you listen to it. If you don't, and also once you have that ideal inside of you, in your thoughts and mind and emotions, anytime you start to move away from that path and that goal and that God, anytime you start to stray and sway away from God like that, I hope you understand the way I'm using the word God. You'll have a sense internally of that violation. It'll be more and more profound, more and more clear. And a good way to get closer to that, well, I can't even believe I'm saying this, because who wants to feel that? Because it's not necessarily a positive feeling, but it's an indicator of what you should be doing. And how Russell Brand says in the beginning of this clip, it shows the direct relationship between taking drugs and not feeling emotions, and not taking drugs and feeling emotions. And that's absolutely true. Stop numbing out your, don't become an emotional wreck, and you get so lost in your sadness you can't act, and you're crippled and things like that, and you're irrational. But emotions are there for a reason, man. Like I already said earlier in this video, you should listen to them sometimes. They're really trying to tell you something. And apathy is one of the top 3 biggest problems on the planet right now. People just do not care about anything, and it's become like a badge of honor to not care. Ooh, I don't give a fuck. Like I don't know, dude. I actually think it takes more courage and strength and endurance and integrity and and honor to care and to be good than it does to be evil and just to... I mean, ultimately you're going to pay a bigger price for swaying from those things, because you're going to die and you're going to destroy everyone that loves you and the world and everything. All hell breaks loose, literally. Yeah, you're going to pay a heftier price in the end, but yeah, man, I lost my train of thought, but just start to think it's possible to get out of this new world order, of this drug addiction, of this breakup I had, or you know, whatever's wrong, and get into this, you know, into this world, and really start to care, and become a force to be reckoned with, and it's possible, man. Anything is possible, and that means hell on earth, and that means heaven on earth, and it's 100% up to us. 100%. What we ultimately want for ourselves, based on our thoughts, emotions, and actions, because that's creating certain conditions and certain manifestations. Based on that, yeah, it's up to us what we want. Do we want prosperity and freedom and, you know, love and I don't know, like, and or do we want like fear and slavery and trapped? And I don't know, man, because people want to stay where they are, and they don't want to rock the boat, and they don't want to change, and I understand, but again, man, just start to conceptualize in your mind the greatest possible ideal that exists ever. It's going to be a long process piecing that together, but do it. There's hardly anything else you could do that would be better. Ultimately, in the end, you still have to act in accordance with that highest ideal, with God. But if you don't even have any idea what that is, start piecing that together, and you'll no longer be lost. It's a GPS. It's a compass. It will probably save your life, and possibly save the lives of others who are connected to you strongly. Anyways, thanks for listening, guys. That's all for this video. Ran on a lot longer than I expected to, but stay tuned for more. Thank you.